Members of Parliament currently deciding the fate of Minister-designate for Women, Children and Gender Protection, Akufo-Addo, as they vote on her approval. Meanwhile, at the Flagstaff House, 6 ministers-designate are standing by, including Akufo-Addo, Minister for Women, Children and Social Protection, to be sworn in by President Akufo-Addo. We'll be crossing over to the Flagstaff House and also to Parliament to see what's going on there. We'll also be speaking with our correspondent Elton Brobe at the Flagstaff House, and also to speak with Joseph Opoku-Gakpo, our man in Parliament. We'll also get some independent analysis in all these issues. This is today's big story. My name is Aisha Bryan. So as the majority and minority in Parliament struggle to go through the list of whether to approve Minister-designate for Women, Children and Gender Protection, the same person at the center of affairs is at the Flagstaff House, plus some 5 other ministers designate awaiting swearing in by the President Akufo-Addo. Our man Elton Brobe is at the Flagstaff House. He joins us via phone. Good evening to you, Elvis. Kindly take us through the list of ministers designate awaiting swearing in at the Flagstaff House.
Yeah, so according to the list that we have 12 persons expected to go to the swearing-in ceremony. We have Dr. Anthony Akuto, the Minister for Monitoring and Evaluation. We have Damboche for Regional Reorganization and Development. Pabena Frimpong-Boateng, that's Professor Kwame Frimpong-Boateng, Minister for Environment, Science and Technology. John Peter Amewu for Lands and Natural Resources. Otiko Afisa-Addo, Minister for Gender, Children and Social Protection. Ignatius Bafo for Employment and Labor Relations. Akufo-Addo for Transport. Joe Nanagate for Railway Development, Kwesi Amakwata for Roads and Highways, Eslawusu Ekufo for Communication, Joseph Kofi-Addo for Sanitation and Water Resources, and Samuel Atachia for Works and Housing. So far, 12 persons, according to the list that we have. These are the approved ministers who will be taken to the swearing-in ceremony by the president, in some few minutes or hours to come.
And all these individuals are present at the Flagstaff House at the moment?
With the exception of, so far in the banquet hall of the State House, where the program will take place, the approved minister by Parliament for Transport, Kwaku Esiama, as well as Professor Frimpong-Boateng, and a while ago I saw Otiko Afisa-Addo, who has just walked out of the banquet hall. So these are the 3 ministers who are available as of now. We know that Parliament is voting to decide the fate of Afisa-Addo. And once that is done, the president will come down for the program to start. But for now, these are the only ministers who are available at the venue where the program will take place.
Elton, we know that in Parliament currently voting is ongoing between minority and majority members to decide whether Otiko Afisa-Addo should be approved. What's her reaction so far about this news?
Well, she's not speaking.
And what's her mood like? Okay, we lost Elton Brobe from the Flagstaff House. We'll try and get him back and get what's happening at the Flagstaff House. We know Akufo-Addo is at the Flagstaff House awaiting for approval, awaiting for swearing in by President Akufo-Addo. But we also know that she has not been approved yet. Currently in Parliament, members are divided on whether she should be approved or not. We're waiting to see what happens after the voting in Parliament. But let's take some sights and sounds from Parliament.
Mohammed Habib Tijani. Mohammed Masoud Al-Hadi, Bru West. Morrison Cynthia Mamley, Mrs. Agona West. Mubarak Ras. Kumbukum.
It doesn't matter. Raise point of contact. What is under we get?
Where is? I have to locate your name. What's your name?
Order. I don't remember that. I think it's something. Just put it here. Honorable members, order. 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 Honorable members.
Ras Mubarak. Muniru Abdul Aziz. Muntaka Muhammad Mubarak.
Honorable Mutaka.
Nabu Joseph Bibuba. Nyonyo. Napari Dominic, Sydney East. Nate Beleza Nina. Ablekuma Central. Nawani Mark Kurt Nabdam Nitiwu Dominic Bimbila Nkansa Buadu Mavis Fija Secretary East.
I'm going to vote yes or no. What is the vote? What am I?
Nkansa Buadu Mavis.
It's coming.
Dogbe Ernest Henry Ashiama. Dogbe Ernest Henry Ashiama. Nochu Kotwe Peter Akachi North. Nsowa John Samuel Upper Dentra West. Nsowa John Samuel. Intim Augustine Collins of Insul North. Ntosu Helen Ajua. Nto Matthias Kwame. Nuama Samuel Kwajo, Doctor Kwadasu. Kwadasu.
Yes. Over here.
Nyimda Matthew Pandai. Oklo Linda Obiniwa Akwele Shai Osudoku. Odum Abraham Juma Twefo Ati Mokwa. Odonta Vincent Soa, Dade Kotopong. Odro Derek, Major Retired, Nkranza North. Odro George Boahene. Odro George Boahene, New Edubiasi. Ogaja Thomas Donko, Willensi. Ohimen Tinyase Kwabena Kade. Ochiri Ajekum Kofi, Fanti Akwasa. Ohimen Tinyase Kwabena Kade.
This is today's big story. So you're currently viewing the counting process in Parliament. We're told that the minority are kind of staging a sit-down strike or boycott in Parliament. And because when their names are mentioned, they don't come up. We know that 275 members of Parliament are supposed to vote on this issue. They're still voting, and we know that so far about 75 of them have voted. Well, joining me from the Flagstaff House, where 12 ministers are waiting for their swearing in by President Akufo-Addo, but we also know that Otiko Jaba is supposed to be approved before the swearing in can go on. Elton, welcome back on the line. But looking at what is happening in Parliament and looking at the long procedure we are witnessing, do you feel that this swearing in process may have to be postponed?
Well, it will be difficult to give an answer to that effect. I mean, this is not the first time we are experiencing it. I remember that when the first swearing in ceremony took place here, a similar, challenge, arose when the energy minister also had to deal with some parliamentary issues before eventually the program will start, which delayed the program from starting. And I'm seeing a similar situation today. The advertised program for today's event, as we were told, 6 p.m. Now it's gone past 6, and we are still waiting for the event to start. Even for ministers who are members of Parliament who have been approved and should be here, seated, waiting for the president to come in, they are yet to take their seats. What I've been told is that most of them are still in Parliament going through the voting process. So I think what the majority require is all their members of Parliament present to ensure that they secure the 138 votes needed for the approval of one of their own, Otiko Afisa. So with the exception of, apart from Officer of Informed Boateng, Mr. Koku Esiama, and Otiko herself who are here, the rest of the 12 ministers who are expected to be sworn in today are not here. And the reason I'm sure is that it's available to everyone. So we'll just have to wait a little longer. Family members are here. The room is packed. I mean, the only chairs left unoccupied are the ones, allocated to the ministers who have been approved by Parliament, and indeed the president, leading members of the party. I can see John Boyd, who is in the hall, the chairman of the MPP, the acting chairman, Freddie Blair, some leading members of the party. The vice president, together with the president, will come in for the event itself to start per the program that we have been given by the communication director of Flagstaff House. It says that, I can just walk you through. We have briefing of the newly appointed ministers, arrival of ministers in attendance, and 6 p.m., which is gone past 6 p.m. already, arrival of His Excellency the President, administration of the following oath, the newly appointed ministers by the President. That's the oath of allegiance, oath of a minister, and oath of secrecy. And then at 6:15, according to the program, the President will present the instruments of appointment to the newly appointed ministers. And there will be the signing of the oath book by the newly appointed ministers, signing of the oath book by the President, remarks by His Excellency the President, response from a minister on behalf of his colleagues, and there's going to be a photograph and refreshment. And then after that, we've been told that we can then speak.
A picture of the mood at the Flagstaff House right now. I need you to paint a picture of the mood at the Flagstaff House right now. Let's start with Akufo-Addo, whose approval is creating issues in Parliament right now.
Well, she's in a kind of a conversation with somebody, an unknown face. She's seated, in the front row seat, reserved for the ministers who will be taken to the swearing-in ceremony. And she's interacting with one of the invited guests here at the banquet hall of the State House. On her left is Professor Frimpong, who is also having a conversation with a lady. And then on the other row is the Minister for Transport, Esiama. So it is. What we have is a room full of family members and, relations of the ministers who are awaiting the presentation of their instruments to start work. So
how's her countenance? I'm talking about the lady in the center of affairs at this moment. Does she look worried?
Well, I can't tell for sure. Her facial expression doesn't resemble somebody who is worried at all. She's kind of in a joyous mood, interacting with, some of her colleagues, ministers. When she came in, I heard some of them, asking her to be strong and then go through what the president has tasked her to do. So, there's no indication of, worry on her face. As a matter of fact, her facial expression, resembles someone who is in a happy and excited mood.
Well, many thanks to you, Elton Brobe. We'll be coming to you in our subsequent bulletin for more on this, what is happening at the Flagstaff House. Joining us on the other phone line is David Agbe, who is a governance analyst. Good evening to you, David. Many thanks for your time on today's big story.
Yes, good evening, Aisha.
David, we know what is happening in Parliament. In fact, prior to this, we heard a lot of confusion about the approval of Minister Designate for Women, Children and Social Protection, Akufo-Addo. We know that the minority walked out of the committee meeting when they were trying to draw recommendations for the House. They walked out of that meeting saying that they will not approve. We are witnessing a voting procedure in Parliament right now because the House is divided on whether to approve her or not. Meanwhile, we have 12 ministers at the Flagstaff House awaiting swearing in, and the lady at the center of controversy is at that place also waiting for swearing in. How does all of this come across to you?
Actually, I'm not surprised about what is happening in Parliament and at the seat of government at all, in a sense that we do know that politicians, the ordinary politicians in this country, do not want to learn. And so they think that politics, anything goes. And so whatever comes out of their mouth, they think that it is a political game, and so they can talk anyhow. But anybody who have understanding and architecture of how politics, come into being, will tell you clearly that politics is of a science, and people who want to be involved in politics, you need to have a certain understanding of the fact that it is about managing human beings and managing an institution. And so if you want to manage human beings, you should be able to control and be able to conduct yourself very well, such that not succumb to some of these confusions, going on. One would have expected that, a lady like Akufo-Addo shouldn't have involved herself into this kind of situation. But then I think that she is now learning the rudiment and the foundations of politics. And so people who have no understanding about politics They talk anyhow, and that is the way it is in this country. But I think that it is a learning curve for people now that, yes, in the political terrain, people could say all that they want to say, but when it comes to a vetting process, that is where they are going to text you and be able to weigh whether you really meant whatever you wanted to say at that point in time, and whatever that you said, is it not going to have a repercussion on you as a person? It is not going to tarnish your image and all that. And so I think as we speak now, of course, majority will consider her, minority will say that no, because of her conduct and her behavior and all that. But I think that as we speak now, I think our sister Akufo-Addo needs to learn and be able to appreciate the fact that in politics, one needs to be very tactful when you are communicating, and so that your communication, when it is played back to you later on, you should be able to, realize that if you make a certain mistake, you should be able to apologize and say that, no, this one, I shouldn't have said it. So I think that it is a learning curve, and I believe that she will not dare to involve herself into any kind of a bad communication whenever she is given an opportunity. So
well, many thanks to David Agbe. That's all time will allow us. We're extremely grateful for your time on today's big story. So 275 members of parliament are voting on the approval of Minister Designate for Children, Women and Gender Protection, Akufo-Addo, who is also currently waiting at the Flagstaff House for swearing in by President Akufo-Addo. We're waiting for what happens in Parliament. We'll bring you all the updates on Joy News Prime. Stay tuned, don't go away. This is today's big story. My name is Aisha Ibrahim. Good evening.